Hey everybody, I'm Mark's son, Corey. Many of you here today know my dad as a coach, an absurdly successful and nationally acclaimed coach. Many of you here today know him as a homicide detective and officer for the Inglewood PD. Many of you here today know him as a family member. Many know him as a friend. Many of you here today know my dad for his mustache. An iconic mustache that has been said to rival the likes of Tom Selleck, Mark Twain, and President William Howard Taft. I'm a history major. I knew him for all those things. I knew my dad as a coach. From the time I was 4 years old, Dad coached me in soccer and baseball. He'd take me to the park before literally every game to hit me grounders, toss me batting practice. My sisters, for sure, can vouch for this obsessive commitment to sport. And I'm not gonna lie, when I played poorly, he would come down on me, hard. But he'd always pick me back up, take me back to that park before the next game. You guys can't really see, but I'm holding a card that I wrote for Dad. It's an apology letter of sorts. I was 5, maybe 6 years old. So, yeah, why the apology? It's hard to remember exactly, but I guess I probably swung and hit the tee instead of the ball. Either way, it was clear to my developing brain that bad game equals mad dad. You guys get that, right? So on the front of the card, I wrote, Dad, and it's accompanied by a drawing of him that features a baseball jersey, a glove, a hat, and a very conspicuous mustache. Pretty realistic for a 6-year-old. On the inside of the card, it reads, Dear Dad, I like when I do good. I hate when I do bad. I'm sorry that I played bad today. Love, Corey. Thank you. I forget ever making this card, or that it even still existed, but when we were going through his stuff a couple days ago, the day after he died, I discovered that he kept it in a drawer for 26 years. Looking back now, I understand the greater life lessons that were at play in his disciplinarian approach to sports. Work hard, do your best, act with integrity, and bounce back from failure. These are the same life lessons that would help take us to the Little League World Series in 1998, the triumphant 12-year-old peak of my athletic career. Some of the same objectives that would earn him a reputation as one of the best softball coaches in the country. Over however many years, he's been a vital gateway for literally hundreds of young women, many who are here today, in establishing their own educational and professional opportunities through the virtues of hard work and character. If this remains his legacy to most of the lives that he touched, I couldn't be more proud. I knew my dad as a detective, but barely. He never really brought his work home, and when he spent 30 years in the streets of Inglewood fighting crime, investigating murders, you might be able to understand why. My friends in high school definitely knew of Dad as a detective. Evidenced by the several occasions on which he scared them shitless. Here's one of those times. It was winter formal. I think senior year, my buddy JP and I were getting into my car with our dates after taking some photos of the Campbell house. We were sitting in the car, 3 of us, talking amongst ourselves. But before JP could get in the car, slide right into that passenger side, Mark held the door closed. And with that formidable tone, he said, I'll punish Corey if he does something stupid. I'll kill you. Nothing too stupid went down that night. Dad might have been an intimidating presence, but anyone who came around more than once knew who he was at heart. He was a loyal and reliable resource, an affable goofball, and really just someone who you want in your corner. And this is how I knew my dad best, as Dad. Do you guys want to hear a bad joke? You have no choice. Okay, so brace yourselves for very little laughter. Hey, did you hear about the weather in Mexico? Well, I heard that it's going to be chilly today and hot tamale. Pretty bad, right? Yeah, well, I had to hear it for 32 years. And strangely, as I figured out this past week, it's those wonderfully bad jokes that I'm going to miss, along with his myriad catchphrases, the hokiest of catchphrases, mostly lifted from film and TV, such as, "What a bunch of hijinks and tomfoolery. This weather ain't fit for man nor beast. Do you give towels with those showers? Facial. Rub. You got dumb things coming out of your mouth. Someone get a barista, because this roast just got dark." There's really no segue from that, but switching gears, I've done a lot of self-reflecting this past week, difficult times forcing to do so. My mom reminded me of a quote that Dad told her from time to time over the years. And that's, he would say, "I'm so glad that Corey's different than me." And on so many levels, that's true. I often chase the unknown. He typically stuck to the routine. I like to travel the world. He was good with New Jersey. Take that, Jersey. I'm a pretty laid-back person. He was not. We certainly didn't see eye to eye on all political issues, but I secretly really loved our back and forths in which we would challenge each other to think outside of our respective bubbles. And I think that he secretly liked those too. But regardless of our clear differences in personality, we were always bound together by something much more important, and that's our love. 5 years ago, when he learned that I had a boyfriend, all I heard from him was this: "I love you and I'm glad that you're happy." I don't think it's a coincidence that I felt closer to him more than ever these past 5 years, and it's debatable that at times he actually loved Colin more than me. Colin, you gave him a really good coastal engineering education. In closing, I'd like to share with you the first thought that crossed my mind when I caught wind of the severity of my dad's condition. En route to the hospital, I couldn't shake the recent memory of our last dinner at home together as a family. It was the last time that I saw him. It was taco night. With a smile, Dad told me, "Hey bud, I got some green onions for the tacos just as you like." And like a jerk, I shot back, "Green onions? It's supposed to be white onions and cilantro like every taqueria ever." Well, let's clear the air now, Dad. Dad, the green onions actually work pretty well. Thank you for getting the green onions, and thanks for everything you've done for me. I love you, and I'm going to miss you way too much. Thank you.
I'm really nervous. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mallory, and I'm Mark's oldest daughter. It's no secret that my dad was extremely competitive and athletic, so of course when it came time to put his first daughter in sports, he put me in both soccer and softball. I was probably about 9 or 10 and was playing both club soccer and travel softball. It got way too hectic juggling both, so my dad sat me down and told me I needed to choose one sport to continue on with. I chose softball. I guess all I have to say about that is, you're welcome. I know a lot of you here believe that coaching was my dad's greatest passion, but many of you may not know that all changed 2.5 years ago when his new greatest passion became being Papa. Just a fun fact for you all, my son JJ was a little bit of a surprise to my husband and me. I'll never forget when I told my mom I was pregnant. I looked at her sobbing and asked, "Is Dad gonna be mad?" And she looked at me laughing and said, "Why would he be mad? You're 25 years old and married." It scared me still. Little did I know that JJ and Papa would be literally inseparable. For the last 2.5 years, my dad watched JJ 3 days a week. They did anything and everything together. He took him to his practices, or they'd go mow the lawn at Pacifica. I still remember a few times asking my dad, how JJ's naps went, and he'd say, "It was fine, he fell asleep for about 10 minutes on the lawnmower." And then I'd get mad and he'd call me controlling. One of my favorites is when I came to pick him up after work one day and my dad said, "So, Mal, something happened. Do you want the bad news or the good news first?" So I said, "Give me the bad news." And he said, "JJ got bit by a lot of redness today." And I said, "So what's the good news?" And he said, "He's not allergic to ants." JJ and Papa would take Dairy Queen trips, go to the beach, go to Knott's Berry Farm way too many times in 1 week, take weekly bike rides down to the Queen Mary, go to swim lessons, and come back home and swim all day, and the list goes on and on. My dad would buy him anything and everything, and we would constantly get upset with him, telling him to stop spoiling him. But my dad would text me religiously, telling me how much he loved my son and thanking me for bringing grandchildren into his life. I truly believe my mom said it best. He poured 50 years of love onto him in the last 2.5 years. He was ready to do the same with my daughter, who was born 7 weeks ago, but I'm trying my best to just be grateful he was able to hold her and love her as long as he did. I know he is my kids and all his future grandkids' biggest guardian angel. And just like he was for my siblings and many of you sitting here today, he'll be in the stands cheering for them, yelling at them, and probably even doing that terrifying thing where he puts his hand up to his mouth and says something to scare the crap out of them. Even though everybody's over here. Dad, I love you more than I can ever express, and I will miss you every single minute of every day until that day comes we meet again. Thank you for always being tough on me and at the same time loving me unconditionally. I am because you were.
Hi, I'm Mark's son-in-law, Chad. For some of you, Coach Chad. Back in '06, I remember sitting at the table at lunch with a few friends talking about girls, and I told my friends that I liked Mallory Campbell. Their instant reaction was, "Don't you know who her dad is?" I was like, "No." They're like, "Bro, he's super buff and runs around Sorrento like all the time. I think he's like I remember Daniel specifically saying, "Dude, he has like the most badass mustache." After that conversation at lunch, I was determined to meet this guy. When I finally got the chance, he was bigger than I imagined, had the biggest push broom mustache. I remember walking up to him to shake his hand and scared to death, not knowing what to say, and he immediately said, "What's up, Chadwick?" After that, Mark and I spent a lot of time sitting in front of the TV watching sports, not saying a word. But when we did talk, he always had the best advice and was one of the most incredible listeners. He always gave you the chance to talk and would soak up everything you had to say before responding. Mark's and our relationship grew in the past few years in a way that I always was envious of my father's relationship with his father-in-law. Mark was always there for me, and I was always there for him. It didn't matter what I was doing. If I got a call from Mark for a small favor, I would drop everything I was doing to be there to help out. I will never forget his voice. He would call me. He'd always be like, "Chad, hey, I need you to do me a small favor." It's never a small favor. I'd be like, "Of course, what is it?" "Okay, so listen." And I would think to myself, as if I was not already listening when you asked me to do a favor. And from that point, I always knew it was going to be a production, whether it was the shower drain, toilet, sink, computer, brakes on his car, pool, and along with many other things. The one thing I always think back to, though, is the Pacific field favor. He always had me take care of the field when he was across the country winning championships. But it was never like just go to the field and mow the lawn and trim the edges. Everything would be in detail, from starting the mower, spraying the weeds, opening the gates, and the way I was supposed to cut the grass. One time he actually drew it out on a piece of paper and said, "This is exactly how you do it." Not to mention, he always had me mow the lawn whenever it was well overgrown, which if you've mowed an overgrown lawn, you understand the fun of that. A 2-hour job turns into an 8. I'm going to miss the things like frying the turkey around the holidays and when we fill the oil to the rim. I'm about to drop the bird inside there and we both looked at each other like, this isn't gonna work. Literally, the oil was like pouring over, so we had to get a pot. We started scooping it out. And then even the next year, it was always a fiasco. The next year, we're setting up the turkey fryer again, and we started up, and the propane runs out like right away. And Kayla's demanding the bird be cooked in like 30 minutes, and as us, we always fastly got things done late. So I remember he put the propane tank behind the car, and he like reversed out really fast out of the driveway, and all you heard was like, boom! He looked at me and he goes, "Don't tell Kayla." So he just smashed the propane tank. The tail light's still broken. Sorry, Kayla. The time I spent 6 hours underneath the sink for you, and he walked in the door with this delicious Togo sandwich, and it was not for me. Pulling up to you in the car and watching you pretend to pick your nose and eat it, or pretending the steering wheel is broken when turning through the neighborhood. Sitting on the couch watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and listening to you make fun of my skeleton toes never got old. They weren't going away. He used to tell me to put socks on. All the times you spent with my son riding bikes, playing at the park, swim lessons, jacuzzi sessions, and ice cream cones from Dairy Queen. My brother always called you the man of mystery. But now that I think about it, there was no mystery about you at all. You were an absolute angel putting in God's work. You just never expressed or bragged about the work you were doing. You changed thousands of people's lives for the better, including mine. Your humor and love is truly going to be missed, but surely it will not be forgotten. I love you, Mark. I'll miss you so much. I promise I'll keep the grass green, take care of your daughter and grandchildren, and the rest of your family in any way that I can. It was glad to know you while you were here with us.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Erica, Mark's daughter. You guys, the softball world knows me as Storm, so Storm and Erica are both me, it's not two people. I think I've literally only heard my dad call me Erica once, and it was when I went to Pacifica High School, and the teleparent called home, and it said that I was sent home with a progress report and that I had a D in chemistry. And I heard him yell Erica, and I was absolutely terrified. That was probably one of the scariest days of my life. Okay. But I'm going to tell you guys about one of my favorite memories of my dad. And I think especially the softball world will enjoy this memory, but I think everybody will find it a little humorous. When I was 11 years old, my dad coached me on Victory USA. I was a pitcher at this time, and so we were required to get there an hour early before practice to pitch. Coach Nick would call out pitches for us to throw, and we would have to do like 10 of them in a row. And I remember he called out change-ups, and I rolled like 3 or 4 of them on the ground, like just absolutely horrible. And my catcher, Brittany, was running all over the place. And I heard "Storm" from across the field. And for those of you who have played for him, you know how terrifying it is when you see this. And so I walked over to him, and like my sister said earlier, he always covers his mouth, but then he like still yells at you, like nobody can hear it. And he said, "Storm, when we get home tonight, you need to talk to your mom about starting to shave your armpits." And so that night I started shaving my armpits. That was probably one of my favorite memories with him. But I honestly cannot reiterate to you guys enough that I was my dad's favorite kid. He never said it out loud, but actions speak louder than words. So we just always understood each other, and we definitely had a special relationship, and it's one that will never be broken. I'll continue to talk to him every day. But being his favorite child, you can understand why it was so devastating when I moved out. He was very, very upset when I decided to go live on my own. He was a guy that never really liked talking about his emotions, but he always responded really well to letters. So whenever he was mad at me, I would always write him a letter. And we worked through it. But a couple days ago when we were going through his things, I saw that my dad still had this letter that I wrote to him when I moved out. So I was going to read it to you guys because I thought it fit perfectly with today. Dad, I know that me moving out isn't easy for you, and I know that you think it's too soon for me to leave. Because of everything you have taught me and done for me, I am able to be independent and live on my own. Thank you so much for helping me get where I am today. Thank you for always supporting me and guiding me in the right direction. Thank you for showing me that I deserve nothing less than the best. And thank you for always being someone that I can come to when I need help, and for being the best role model I could ever ask for. I want nothing more than for you to walk me down the aisle and give me away to someone who will raise my kids exactly how you raised yours. I am so incredibly lucky to have been raised by such a strong and selfless person, someone who gives everything to provide for the people he loves. If I could achieve only one thing in my entire life, it would be to make you proud. Although you may not realize that there are so many things that I'm going to miss about living at home. I'm going to miss pulling into the driveway and being greeted by your big smile while you're working out in the garage or working on the yard. I'm going to miss you yelling at me when I forget to squeegee the shower door or forget to turn on my bedroom light. I'm going to miss you telling me to turn off the Kardashians, but then quietly sitting down in your recliner to watch the rest of the episode with me. Then only making comments every commercial break about why you just cannot understand why Chloe would stay with someone who's cheating on her. I'm going to miss having to turn off Alexa every time I come home because you purposely leave her on when you leave the house to scare off any intruders as if anything crazy ever happens in Cyprus. I'm going to miss you singing super early in the morning when all of us are still sleeping. I'm going to miss you kissing me on the forehead and telling me to drive careful every time I leave the house. I'm going to miss feeling safe while I sleep at night, knowing that my dad is there to protect me. There is an uncountable number of things that I will miss, but of all the things that I'm going to miss about living at home, I'm going to miss you the most. You've always been my favorite person and my hero. Daddy, I love you so much. I'll always be a daddy's girl. Love, Storm.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm the youngest daughter, Jamie. First, I just want to thank you guys for coming to celebrate my dad. The number one question I always got from people growing up was, is your dad as scary at home as he is on the field? And people were always shocked, and I said no. My dad was the scariest coach I'll ever play for, and I can't describe the feeling I would get when I hear him call timeout after I swung at a bad pitch, and he'd cover his mouth but still yell at me loud enough for people 2 fields over to hear. And I'd have to walk back in the box and finish my at-bat like nothing just happened. But that wasn't all my dad was to me. So many of you were lucky enough to know him as coach, but as great as he was at that, he was an even better dad. He was a dad that made me fearless. Fearless because I know he raised me to be smart and strong. Fearless because my dad taught me to read people and trust my instincts. Fearless because I was raised to keep going no matter what was being thrown at me. Fearless because I knew no matter where I was or what I was doing, I had a dad that would do anything for me. He was the kind of man that made you feel safe just by knowing that he was in your life. He was intimidating to others, but I always knew him as the dad that took a bubble bath every morning and called it tubby time. The dad that when we were younger would secretly ask my mom what we had for dinner when he wasn't home, and then he'd have us sit on his lap and put his hand on our stomach and guess exactly what we ate that night, and we thought it was magic. The dad that would let me sit on his lap in the car once we got on the street and help him steer the rest of the way home. The dad that would give me money for every kid I knocked down in my AYSO soccer games. The dad that would play Fear Factor with us in the backyard and make us eat tomato worms and June bugs, and we'd do it just because it made him proud of us for some reason. The dad that would judge our diving competitions in the pool where I would execute the best pencil dive this world has ever seen, but just because air threw cannonballs in yelling I love softball, she would win. The dad that blasted Molotov oldies at 7 a.m. while he made me breakfast before school and packed my brown paper bag lunch until I graduated high school. I was never able to finish those lunches he made me, and I'll never forget the day he found 12 snack pack puddings and animal cookies in my trash can when I was in 8th grade. He asked me why I threw them away, and even though I was the only person he packed lunch for, I thought it was best to deny that they were mine. He interrogated me for probably 2 hours before he told me he was going to take me to the station and get a polygraph test done. So I finally admitted they were mine, and I think I went 3 years only being called liar and never called Jamie. He would call up to me, liar, come eat, dinner's ready. He was the king of one-liners, and he didn't even know it. His best came after I played bad. After a bad game, I'd sit in the car terrified but kind of eager to hear the one-liner he had probably thought of saying to me all game. My favorite was when I thought it was going to be really bad, but he just got in the car and said, you know, I'm not even mad. Just throw your bad away since you only show up to make your friends laugh. I'm going to miss those one-liners because they were always followed up with him making sure I knew how much he loved me. The admiration I have for my dad's life, for the life my dad made for himself, is something that can't be measured. He did everything with his whole heart. He was a legend, and he built the reputation he had and the life he made himself. His career as a police officer and detective, his coaching career, his strength and conditioning business, his catching lessons, he loved it all, and they're all a part of the million reasons my dad was respected by so many people. But he was most proud of the family that he built, and we're the strongest family because of him, and we'll get through this because of him. He hated being the center of attention, but he was the center of our family, the heart of everything that we are. His love for me and my siblings was so immense that I know we'll feel it every day, even though he's no longer here. But above all, I was lucky enough to be witness to the love my dad had for my mom. I would deny that my dad ever had a weakness, but now I see that his weakness was my mom. I would always question why my mom laughed at his jokes because she'd been hearing the same ones for 30 years, but I get it now. Mom, you are everything to Dad, and I know he was everything to you, and I know that he'll be watching you and loving you because you were his whole world, and he was so lucky to have you. The past week has felt like the longest dream of my life, and I still struggle to wrap my mind around that this is real. I feel like we've been waiting for this day, but once we get home, I'll walk in and see my dad sitting in his recliner with a glass of Shardy. It's going to get harder when it sinks in that this is our new reality, but I find comfort knowing that my dad is at peace, and that when I held his hand, he was looking down with no more pain and no more fear, and he was finally free. I'll miss you, Dad. I know it because I already do. Your voice, your laugh. I miss recording myself sticking things in your ears. I miss the way you would stand in the kitchen and do the robot, the way you chewed your gum like you were chewing gravel. I miss watching the same 5 movies with you and hearing your same 5 jokes, and I'll miss it all every single day. I love you, Dad, and I know that I'll see you again soon someday.